Hey folks, Dave back here in Studio B. Jumping on real quick here on this, was it Wednesday night? I think this is, yeah. And a quick little chat here. I was going to have this be called Great Expectations Part 2. And then I says, I've already done, Anticipation Part 2. But I says, I've already done Anticipation. Let's talk about Great Expectations, okay? And no, I'm not talking about the Bruins and how they choked, okay? And let's not talking about that. I'm talking about with games. All righty. Great expectations in gaming. All right. So, and where I'm kind of coming from with this is is we had that big chat Saturday night, right, with John Harrison and Jules Tebow about Appa, and so I started looking around, and I ended up ordering Appa Golf. Okay, after all the Appa chat, and I got all caught up, and I ordered the Appa Golf. But before though, I watched a ton of videos. I watched Tebow, I watched ID, I watched is it Emk? Is that how you say his name? Emk? Mr. Klein. I saw him do some videos. There's not many Appa golf videos out there, but whatever there was, I watched. And I'm watching this game being played, and I'm like, so everything's on a grid, and you're just marking off on this graph paper. I'm like, how fun can that be? But it looked really fun, and so I did my due diligence, and I looked around and did my research, and I ended up getting I ordered the Appa game with Pebble Beach and a couple of seasons. And the seasons, because there's not a lot of cards, are not that expensive. So that's kind of good. As David C. Stops by here, he says, "Good evening, Dave. Hope all's well. I'm just trying to learn to enjoy the journey, but the competitive side of me gets in trouble." Yes, it does. Yes, it gets me in trouble too. But where I'm going with great expectations is I watched enough videos on Appa Golf, and my expectations are pretty high for this game. I'm looking forward to playing a game that I can, you know, aim my shot and then roll the dice and hope for the best. Okay. And I'm really looking forward to a game that I have some input in with with the shot. There's a few other golf games I played that are okay. You can aim a little bit maybe, but this one here, it really is, after watching all the videos, it looks like it's going to be really fun, and it's going to be really up to me. But the catch is, though, if I hit a bad shot, it's because of bad dice rolls, and I can read the chart and see what happens. So I'm not in the dark about why I did something wrong. So I'm hoping, again, great expectations. I'm hoping that if I play this Apple golf game and I keep hitting into the woods, that I'll know how to fix that, or at least I'll have an idea on what's going on. Because there's other golf games that I play, that I get quite upset at if I hit into the woods over and over, and I don't know how to fix it. Okay. I almost got ASG, but I have ASG on the computer, and I'm able to play. What I like about ASG is the quick rounds, how you can just roll the dice and get the score for the hole. I really like how you can do that. I have Player of the Game Golf by Downey, and that's fun. As Mr. Rothman stops by here, uh, as much as that's fun, you're playing round by round. So you roll the dice and you get a round score. I like hole by hole and shot by shot when it comes to golf. I really do. And so um, the ASG golf on the computer and even cards and dice, you can roll, and within one roll, you can really get the score of the hole. So if it's a par four, you roll to see if you get birdie, bogey, par, or double bogey, whatever. So so I like how you can do that with ASG. So I came this close to buying the printed version of ASG so I could have the cards to play the quick version. But then I was like, so I have this on the computer. I have ASG on the computer. So if I want to play it, I'll play it on the computer. So I did ask a friend of mine. I said, look, what's easy, do you think? Appa Golf or ASG on the cards and dice? And then he suggested the Appa Golf. So I said, okay, that kind of, I was leaning that way anyway. So I said, I'm going to go with the Appa Golf. So I went through and I figured out what I wanted to get for seasons and what did I want to get for courses and how much I was willing to spend on this endeavor. And so the order went in and got the confirmation today that it's been paid, so it should be getting shipped out. So now the anticipation is waiting for that package to come in. Okay, but we've already done anticipation. So this is great expectations now. I'm expecting this game to be super fun, and I'm expecting myself to be able to learn this game. So those are my two great expectations. That one, I can figure it out, and 2, it'll be fun. And so only time will tell. Only time will tell when this game arrives if I pull it out and I read the directions and I can make any sense of it or not. Because sometimes that happens. You pull out a game, you just like, nope. I don't think that will be the case. And one of the big selling points for this particular game is it does have a basic mode. So I have all these expectations now. I'm dying to see what basic mode is, and I'm dying to see what the advanced or the master additions to this game bring up and how difficult they are. And I heard you can mix and match. So maybe I play basic and there's a few of the advanced things that I want to add, and I can add them and not add the rest. We'll see. We'll find out. But I'm kind of wondering what you guys have ever dealt with as far as great expectations. Did you ever see a game and you haven't played it before? And this could be, a cards and dice game or even a PC game. And you're like, okay, I'm going to get this game, but my expectations are really high that I'm going to enjoy this game, that it's going to be fun. Okay. That I'll be able to learn it, but I've had games, and I think we've all had games that we've ordered and we got in, and whether we printed them or whether they come in the mail or whether they're PC, we go to play them and you're just like, yeah, I kind of don't like it. We've all been there. And it's like, I had high hopes for this game and I'm not enjoying it for whatever reason. Maybe it's something you couldn't figure out. Maybe you figured it out. It just wasn't fun, So there's many ways that you can be let down with a game. So that's one thing I want to ask from you guys. Have you ever had expectations about a game, and were these expectations met, or were you let down? Because there's only 2 ways it can go when you get a new game in. And I'm excited about this one. In fact, I was kind of hoping it would arrive today. I know it was pie in the sky that it would be here in 2 days. But I heard the package drop off there. It's like, oh, was that my Apple Golf? And it wasn't. It was something else. But as Turbocharged Sports drops by here tonight for a quick chat about great expectations. So it didn't arrive, but I did get notice it was paid for. So it should be getting shipped out hopefully today or tomorrow. And I should see it probably by the end of the week, maybe the weekend. And then I'm going to dive into it. And so here's how far ahead I've thought about this game. Okay, this game is one of my most anticipated games. We talked about anticipation. It's one of my most anticipated game. And I don't know why this particular game has got my attention. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of the 2-hour APBA chat that we did on Saturday night, and the whole idea behind APBA in a community, because APBA, it's a big community with APBA. And I've already posted on Delphi, and a couple people gave me some great advice on what to do when I first pull out the game, and how to go about having fun with it and how to not get frustrated. So the APBA community already with just one post has really kind of backed me up on this. Any help, let me know. And that's great. I've watched the videos, so I have an idea on what to do. And I'm really, I'm really excited about this game. And I don't know why. So this is almost a preview to the unboxing and a preview to the first look. I don't know what a first look would be. 0 look, no look. I'm not sure what that would be. But for whatever reason, I am really, really excited about this game. And I have great expectations for this game. And I know that's a song off the Destroyer album from Kiss back in 76, which is, I think, the second album I ever got in my life was Destroyer by Kiss. And just every song is so, so good. Charles stops by. Thanks for coming by and spending a few minutes here. And let's see, Turbocharged says his great expectations, yes, was back in the 80s, Pursue the Pennant. It 100% lived up to and exceeded my expectations. Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know. And that's what I'm talking about here is I wanted to get this video out before I even touched anything with APBA Golf. I don't have it in yet. When I open the box, am I going to be, excited or disappointed when I read the directions? And am I going to be scratching my head, or am I going to understand it? Is the basic mode really going to be basic and fun to get me through, or is basic going to be confusing? or as basic, again, easy. And then adding the other stuff might make it really fun because there's a handful of games that I play and probably all play that you have the basic mode and you pick and choose which of the advanced modes you want to use to make it fun for you. So you have the basic game, which is fun, but then you kind of, sprinkle a little salt and pepper on it and maybe a little duck sauce or whatever it is. And you slowly add some of the advanced or the master game or whatever it's called to your basic game to make it fun for you. And you kind of customize it. And I'm kind of hoping that that's what it's going to be. I really am. Let's see. And Charles comes in and says, thanks for reminding me. I need to get back to ASG cards and dice, of course. Yes. ASG golf is great. I probably will someday still pick that up, but I have so I bought a big set of that ASG. So I got a ton of players and a bunch of courses. So I can play the quick play. I can play the tournaments. And that software is great, by the way. The ASG software for setting up tournaments and the whole bit. Oh my gosh, it's so good. But I wanted something on the table. I'm in a table mood right now. And Pop's Reviews coming by here with the Spider-Man. Hey, good evening, Dave. Like the content and hope all is well. Yeah, all is well. Okay. Had a rough night with the wife last night. That's another story. Almost ended up at the hospital last night, but she's doing better today. Thank God. Yes, thank God. I come home. My work got canceled last night. It's a good thing I did because she was doubled over. Almost went to the hospital with the wife last night. So I was like by her side all night, like one arm in the jacket. Are we going to the hospital or not? She's like, no, not yet. And take off the jacket, one arm back in the jacket. Oh, and so I needless to say, I didn't dare come down and do anything on the computer or any gaming at all while she was in that state. But by the middle of the night, she was a lot better. So that's good. So tonight I can kind of relax. She's in bed. She's quiet, and I can kind of do my thing here. See, where are we here on the chat room here? Doug coming by. I must have an update on my computer because it's starting to stutter a little bit. I don't like that. Hello, Dave in the chat. Yep. Turbo says, most recently, Red, White, and Blue Racing and History Maker Golf from Play. Yep. Yes, thank you. Yep. So yeah, it was not in. We were close to going to the hospital, but she was having spasms, and hopefully that's all it was. What's the good word? The good word, Joseph, is I have some great expectations for the Apple Golf game coming in. And I kind of wanted to come on here and talk about this because it's been a while since I've anticipated a game this much. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Again, maybe I'm pumped up from the Apple chat Saturday night. Maybe because it's coming into golf season. I want to play some golf. But I'm really excited to get I want to learn this game because I've been watching the videos and I'm like, I can do this. And it looked quite complicated. There's a lot to remember. It kind of reminds me of Hockey Bones a little bit, where there's a lot to remember, but it's all easy little stuff. It's just remembering it all. And even some of the videos I saw people do, they would do the shot and like, oh, I screwed up because I didn't do this. So there's like all these things you need to remember. And if you forget one, then whatever. But I'm excited to play this game. Yes, I was too. I was very concerned last night, and I'm glad I wasn't at work getting a phone call saying, "Hey, come home and take me to the hospital." I'm glad it wasn't like that, But getting back to the Apple Golf, I have very high expectations for this game, and I hope they're met. And I hope that when I do the unboxing, that I'm pleasantly surprised. I hope that when I read the directions, that it meets the expectations, and I'm not lost, and I'm not asking 100 questions just to get through the basic game. I'm really hoping that basic is basic enough to get you going, and then you can add some things to it. That's what I really, really hope. And I don't know anything about the rules of the game, only what I've seen in videos as far as, when you hit the ball and then you bring it over here, then you bring it back, and this is where you're hitting from, and this is how you can work the ball around. So if I could figure all that out, it looks like it's going to be a blast. It really is. So you hit the ball and then you're like, okay, how am I going to get to the green here? Then you look at the golfer's tendencies. Sometimes they pull it left, sometimes they pull it right. You have to keep that in mind. But at least when it's all on charts, right? When it's on charts, it's in black and white. There's no mystery. There's no bones about it. There's no behind the scene role that you don't know about. and you know what you did wrong. You rolled the dice wrong, and you rolled a 65 or a 54 or whatever the worst rolls in APA are. If you get doubles, you're looking pretty good, which is the greatest thing about APA. It really is the consistency in their games of doubles being good and 66 being usually one of the best. So my expectations are high. And what else was kind of neat is when I was talking to Ron about it, he's like, it's going to be a long game. So it's not something you're going to want to do a full tournament. And that's probably why they don't give you every golfer in the tournament, which probably makes sense. You probably, if you got 20 or 30 golfers in a pack, that's going to be plenty if you're going shot by shot. It really, really is, because think how long the History Maker golf takes to play from play games, right? You're not hitting every shot with that. You're teeing off. Maybe you hit a roll for a second shot occasionally in a putt or a putt, but for the most part, you're not going shot by shot by shot. And that game still takes a while. And that game is awesome. But what I wanted was a shot by shot game. That's what I'm looking for here. And the two that I saw, Dice Nuts Golf was pretty close, but it has predestined landing areas. So when you tee off, you get 3 or 4 areas. That's where you're going to land, and then you're going to deal with the shot from there. The play, again, as great as play is, oh my gosh, to play History Maker golf is so good. It's still not a shot by shot by shot. It's pretty close, but it's not a shot by shot. So you kind of follow along. But with APA there, if you get in trouble, you gotta figure out how you're gonna get out of the jam, so to speak. Let's see here. Going back into here. Pops Reviews says, I'm from Winnipeg. Oh, good job. You a Jets fan by chance? I imagine you're a Jets fan, right? I'm glad to see old Coach Maurice doing well in Florida. Love my hockey content. Thank you very much. Yeah, I like Maurice too. Yeah, it sucks the Bruins lost, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? It was expected. As somebody my age has been through enough heartache with the Boston Bruins, you learn to expect the heartache. It's just the way it is. So you don't get too worked up about it anymore. In fact, that's the only game I've watched since they won the cup in 2010-11. I don't think I've watched the full Bruins game. Scouts honor. I don't remember watching one because I just don't have the time for 2.5 hours anymore. The other night, I was sitting around. I was, watching my APA golf videos on my iPad, and then I had the game on. So technically, I watched the whole thing until overtime. When they coughed up that lead with a minute left and went to overtime, I did. I shut it off and went to bed. And it wasn't for a couple hours later, I woke up and checked the score, but I was like, I'm done. I've seen this story before. It's like watching the Titanic movie. You know how it ends. It ends up at the bottom of the ocean, Charles, they need to bring the old markers back. Yeah, I see people using them, and I'm like, oh, but that's it. But speaking about that though, speaking about the markers, I'm already in my head looking around my house, trying to find out what I'm going to use for a marker. That's how much I'm anticipating this game. And that's how much expectations I have for this game is I'm looking around the house and I'm like, what do I have? Do I have a hockey player with a stick I could use or a spaceship? Or what kind of little figures do I have around the house? A nail or something that I can use for a marker? I'm already thinking that. I'm so far ahead now with this game. And that's why I'm doing this video because I'm really, really looking forward to it. Anyway, Andrew comes in. First time on chat. Okay, hang on. There we go. Andrew, thanks for coming by. Nice picture of the dog, too. That's a boxer, right? I think. And the missus is okay. Yeah. Knock on wood. I'm going to knock on wood right now. She's upstairs. Okay. Last night was scary, though. There's nothing worse when someone's like doubled over and you're like, put on clothes to go in the hospital. And they're like, no, I can't even do that. I'm like, ooh, what do I do? What do I do? That's like, do I call? And they're like, no, not yet. Oh, man. Crazy night. But yeah, she's okay tonight now. She actually went to work. So if she went to work and lasted most of the day, I'd say she's okay. But it was a close call last night. And Charles said, that's why I play ASGS cards and dice. Yeah. That's the thing about cards and dice is that there's no hand holding and it's all you. And you can mess up a lot easier because, you don't have the computer doing it for you. But you know exactly what's going on. That's the great thing about cards and dice. There's not many computer games I play that are true ports of the table games. There's always a hidden role or it does something for you. So it's not the complete experience. And it's a bummer. It's not. in a way, it's kind of good because it makes cards and dice that much more special. You know what I mean? When you roll the dice on the table. So, and Ron Aleot, our friends of the show, says in Scotland they call it the golf. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They call it the golf. I might get that course if I start having fun with this game. I'm gonna get that course. I really am. And Doug says Dice Nuts Golf is pretty good. I've played it a couple of times. It is enjoyable. It is enjoyable. In fact, that's the one I was going to go with. But I really do want to shot by shot and follow that. I want to follow the ball, and it's. I'm a numbers guy. I'm a math guy, so I want to see if I can figure out 5 yards, 180 yards, and then over here, and did I do it right? Am I in the right spot? And then can I get to the green? And I'm hoping it's fun. And who knows? I might get it and I might figure it out and I might learn it and it might not be fun. That's a possibility. Just because I figured out how to play it and I'm playing it, it might not be fun. That's another thing you got to consider. When you buy a brand new game that you haven't played before, I'm not talking a season, I'm talking a whole new game, you might get it and be like, yeah, this is not that fun. I usually try to research my games enough to give me an idea if I'm going to enjoy it. There's some games I've looked at and went, yeah, I don't think so. And there's other games I looked at and went, maybe. And there's other games like Hockey Bones that I said, no, yes. And when I finally said yes, I pulled the trigger and now I really like it. So I've given that one a second chance. But sometimes you see a game and it's just, I've been doing that a lot with board games, like actual board games, not sports games, but your tabletop games. The board games now are incredible. They really are. They're not like the Monopoly and the Sorry we had back in the day. And I'll watch a games like, okay, I'm trying to find something I could play with friends, the wife and friends, and just have a nice casual gaming night. And I'm looking at these things and I'm like, okay, well, you flip this card and then this happens here. Then you adjust this dial over here. Then you give this guy a token, but this guy loses a token. And then you swap with this guy over here. And by the 12th step, I'm lost. And I'm like, well, click, next game. Won't be playing that one. You had me for about six of the steps. And by step 7, 8, and 9, I can see myself trying to explain this to one of my friends or my wife or something and have her going like, yeah, okay. So I'm trying to find, board games that are, not that difficult. Couple of steps, something that everybody can get right away instead of these monster games that take 3 or 4 hours or 3 or 4 days, One day I'd like to do one of them, but not right now. So it might be bad, yeah. And what are we gonna do with the Bruins? Well, we're gonna do nothing with those Bruins. We're gonna play Apple Golf. That's why I got Apple Golf. The Bruins are out there golfing. I might as well golf too, right? funny. Wait, where's my thing? Yeah, there we go. That's for the Bruins right there. And Andrew said, I went to bed when Florida tied up the game as well. Yep, I did. Honest engine. I watched the game and they were down 2-0 and I was like, they're done. And then they come back 3-2 and everyone's texting me and Facebook and whatever. And they're like, hey, look, I told you they're going to come back. I'm like, not over yet. Minute to go. I said, okay, maybe they'll hang on. This will be great. Game 7 at home. Maybe they just had a hiccup here in round 1 and they'll finally get back into, regular season mode in round 2. And nope, they coughed up the goal and they just went click, went to bed. Said, I've stayed up late enough. I think I actually put on the other game. Was it the Seattle and the Colorado game? I think I put that on the radio and went to bed. And then they gave the update or something like that. I was like, yeah, figured they lose. Funny. It's too bad. I feel bad for Bergie and a few other guys. They had the team this year. They had 12 losses in 82 games. 12 losses in 82 games. And in 7 playoff games, they lost 4. It's unfathomable, but it's Bruins, Charles says, I had some 3D printed at Shapeways. They are great. I'm going to have to check that out. But I am, Marcus, yeah, I figured that, yeah. Yeah, and that's what I have been doing. I've been looking around the house to see what do I got with a little point on it that I could put on this little marker here. And I remember watching the ASG Golf and Replay Gamer played ASG Golf. And I think I watched ID play some Apple Golf. And I said to myself, how fun can this be? Just marking this on the little graph paper, it's like, I want to get this game, but looks pretty boring to me. But then the more I watched and the more this game's going to be like a 2-part thing. Is what did we say? Solving the puzzle. We did a show on solving the puzzle. I want to solve the puzzle. I so bad want to roll the dice and see if I can get it right. See if I can roll the dice, look at the card, look at the chart, see where I'm aiming, and see if I can get the ball where it's supposed to be. So there's the first challenge. The second challenge is, can I, get a decent round of golf, or am I going to screw it up so bad that I'm going to be like 15 over par with Tiger Woods? You know what I mean? So I was kind of looking. It's a two-part thing for me, is the expectations on this game here. Um, and Andrew says, yes, he's a boxer. Yep. Nice pretty dog right there. He was. Judge Smales. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to play some Caddyshack. I'll have to get a Bill Murray card. What I have to find out is they have this thing called, is it Rookies or something like that? And I don't know what those cards are. I don't know if they're blank cards or if they're just pre-printed cards that you can put yourself on. I don't know what they are. I'll have to find out. And maybe if I find out what they are, maybe in my next order, I'll throw in a set of those and create myself or something like that. But I don't play anymore, so I don't have a handicap or anything. And I would be pretty bad anyway. But the idea that you can play yourself is kind of fun. All right. What does Mr. Rothman say? My great expectations was APA football. And he goes, I know it's a great game, and I was really looking forward to it. I tried for several weeks to figure it out, but my anxiety got in the way. Okay, so this is a situation with Mr. Rothman here that it didn't meet his expectations, and he was left feeling a little flat. So it was it didn't meet expectations. Now, again, maybe if you revisit that, or if you get some help on that, maybe it'll get you over that hump. We talked about obstacles in gaming. Maybe there's an obstacle in that game that you're just not getting. There's something about that game that you're just not clicking with you. And once you get that to click, now you're over that obstacle, and now maybe it's all smooth sailing. You never know. So, but your expectation was APA football. You're all excited about it, and for some reason, it just didn't meet the expectations, and it just wasn't fun for you. I advise anybody not to give up on a game, depending on what the problem is. If you just don't like the game mechanic and you don't like how it works, then that's one thing. It really is. That can't be fixed. If you just don't like how the game flows, you're like, look, I figured it out and I got everything happening and I don't have any questions on it. It's just not fun. Then that can't be fixed. But if it's something that just you're not understanding, you're having problems with, that's an obstacle. It's a hurdle. Sometimes you can get over those. And sometimes you get over those and you find out, wow, I'm so glad I did, because it's such a great game. Really. And there's times that I look back in the rearview mirror and I'm like, boy, am I so glad I pushed through, because I'm having so much fun with this game. Some games click, immediately, and you're off and running and having a great time. And other games you fight with, and it depends how much you want to fight with it. And it depends if you think you're going to have any fun or not. With APA hockey, I remember that they had every season I wanted in stock. And I says, I really need to try to get this game to work, because if I can get it to work, then I can play all the seasons and all the players I want to. That was a big deal. If they had sporadic seasons and only a couple that I'd be interested in, I probably wouldn't have spent the time playing it. I would have just gave up and went on to the next game. But because they had everything, I gave it a little push. I gave it a little forgiveness there. And I, what does it say? Take a spoonful of sugar, get the medicine go down. That's kind of what I did with that. I took that spoonful of sugar and fought through it. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, good. I got it to work. Yeah. And Charles says he recommends Azul Dirt, simple with good strategy. I've never heard of Azul Dirt. And beautiful components. Yeah. The thing about some of those board games it's like I see the unboxings, and this box is like the size of a birthday, like a huge birthday cake. And they open a box and there's thousands of tokens and pieces. It's like, whoa. I don't mind a few, but there's a couple games I've been looking at. And I joined a couple of the forums so I could talk about these games. And what's the one I'm this close to getting? It's the new Gloomhaven Jaws of Orion or something like that. And it's supposed to be an easier version of Gloomhaven, which if you look at Gloomhaven. It's like a 3-day game or something like that, and you just got to leave it set up on the table. And there's like thousands of pieces, and the boards are huge. But this, the jaws of whatever it is, it's supposed to be a easier. Actually, you play in a book, I think it was, so you don't even have to spread out on the table. Jaws of the Lion, and is Gloomhaven Light? Yes, yes. So Charles found that. Yes, that's what I'm looking at to get for myself. Is that one right there? And that one sounds like it could be a fun game. I don't know if anybody else would play it with me locally, but it does have a single player mode, so it's key to have a single player mode. Yeah, no, Frosthaven's the addition to Gloomhaven, which is Gloomhaven's a big deal. Gloomhaven's a big deal, and you got to really want it and have the space to play it, which I kind of don't, Oh, is he coming back here to the chat room here? Joseph says, you thought the Rangers were a big choke? Well, the Devils were a decent team. The Rangers are an older team, and they only got Patrick Kane, but he's not the Patrick Kane that we remember, They did win the first 2 games, and then they lost 4 out of 5. So yeah, that kind of sucks too. And Charles says, I want more info on those 2. In fact, if I could have found out more about them, I might have gotten APA instead of ASG. I looked at both. I looked at both videos I saw online. In fact, I will do some videos myself once I get up and running. I'll do the unboxing, obviously. This is kind of like the pre-unboxing. This is what I'm hoping that the game's going to be, and we'll see. I might come back here, in a week or 2 and be like, this game so good. And I might come back in a week or 2 and be like, anybody want to buy Apple Golf? I have no idea. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be very good, but I'm just really excited about it. But I watched a lot of videos. I was this close to the ASG, but because I have it on the computer, I wanted something different. And because it's got a basic mode, I thought that might be the way for me to go. So that's why I went with that there. Oh boy. On the PC side, how is Action PC Golf? Well, it's a fantastic game. It does, as far as setting up tournaments and stuff, it is so good. The seasons are fairly inexpensive. I think I have a ton of seasons. I have a ton of courses for it because they're always on sale. My issue with the game is, as much as I tried and as much as I tried to learn and watch videos and get advice, I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. And I thought I would, doing this right or wrong. Nope. Okay, this is what I did wrong, right? Nope. I never could figure it out. And so I'd be playing and all of a sudden, and I don't know why. And I don't know how to fix it. And it just I got very angry playing the game. Again, golf's an angry game, so it kind of goes right along with it. And who knows, maybe I'll get angry at APA too. But at least with APA, I'll know what I did wrong. I don't know how to fix it in Action PC. And not that I want to land on the green and be in the cup in 2 every time, okay? And I don't want to birdie every hole. That's not what I'm saying. But the idea that when something goes wrong, I really don't know what I did wrong. If I did anything wrong, and that's just kind of how it goes. But for me, I find it more frustrating than fun. So that's, a lot of people love Action PC Golf. It is a fun game. I've had a lot of fun with it. I've set up tournaments. I played the tournaments. But I find that it's a lot more frustrating for me than fun because I don't know how to fix it and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I have a handful of games like that I don't know how to fix it. And I'm kind of along for the ride, and I just feel like I'm clicking buttons because I don't know what to do. Just put it honestly, I either get lucky or I don't. So that's kind of how that one is. Over here in the chat room again, Bruins choked, Avs choked, Rangers choked. Yep. I'm surprised the Avalanche lost. I really didn't think they're going to lose to Seattle. Not at home. Then again, I didn't think Boston, the best team ever, would lose to the Wildcat team. And Charles says, I have a few monster boxes. Those games are fun. I want to get that, Horrified is the other one I want to get. I want to get Horrified. Slash Deep Gaming comes by. A lot of the rules in games are not explained very well, and you have to ask questions on the Delphi forums, and then they explain it, and it's simple, and the game starts to flow very nicely. Yep, I agree. Slash Deep Gaming. In fact, he said he had that problem with Inside Blitz, and now I love it now. I like the Inside Blitz on the computer. I wish they would make the screen bigger. All those games are tiny. Okay, it's 2023. Let's get those out to 1920. Okay, it's wide. Let's really. But the Inside Blitz is great. I got about 95% of it down when I play on the computer. There's some things I might make mistakes on. In fact, I have seen the computer make some mistakes too. That's a little disappointing because I like the game. But when I look at it and say, okay, this is going to be a 3-yard gain, and I click on it and it's a 3-yard loss, no, the running back had the higher number. He should make the play. So the computer has made a couple of mistakes, and it's kind of disappointing because you're trying to follow along and guess right. When I play computer games, I like to know what the result's going to be. That's very important to me, is that when the dice rolls or whatever happens, is for me to know what happens, I say to guess, but it's like, okay, this is going to be this, right? Okay, good. That's right. Okay, now this is going to be this, right? Even when I play strat baseball, okay, this is going to be a double, right? Yep, it's a double. Okay, this is going to be an out, right? Yeah, it's an out. So I like to know when I'm playing the PC games. Sometimes I'll kick back and just whatever, but a lot of times I want to know what's going to happen and just let the PC handle it after I know what happens. But it did make a couple mistakes, and it kind of bummed me out. But for the most part, Inside Blitz has been a lot of fun, and I asked a few questions myself, but I played that enough and just read the rules enough, and there was a couple of decent videos online for that, and to a point where I enjoy that game. I do. So that's a good one there. Yeah. The Inside Blitz was great. Let me see here. Back to the chat room here. Let me see. Haven't played any of them. Never interested me. Okay. And let's see. Turbo says ID's epic rant rage quitting app of football before it even reaches the kickoff is a classic example of a game failing to meet expectations. Yep. Now, just to kind of be fair on both sides of that, okay, ID knew what he was getting into when he was playing Apple football, because he was playing with Tebow, and Tebow showed him exactly what was going to happen. I feel Apple football, I don't have it. Well, actually, I do. Tebow sent me an older copy of it with a couple teams for me to try, and I still haven't tried it yet. But I think I have the older cards and the older charts. So if I wanted to play it, I could play a game with the older stuff. But he played a game with Tebow, and Apple football and strat football. In fact, most football games, with the exception of Inside Blitz and maybe Second and 10, they play so much better face to face, because in a lot of these games, it's the defense guessing. It's the defense. I'm going to play pass. I'm going to play run. I'm going to key on somebody, and that can't be mimicked or duplicated when you play by yourself. If you play a football game by yourself and you're guessing offense and defense, you either got to have some sort of a chart or a system where you roll a dice to get what the defense is going to do, or even what the offense is going to do if you want to play defense, because you can't play against yourself, because once you pick a play, you know what the play is going to be. So those games, I think, are better face to face. And I think if ID was playing a game face to face, he probably liked that game a heck of a lot better, And the other thing was, when ID was playing the play golf, I was watching him play it, and he got stuck on the very first hole with the very first golfer. And if the instructions were written with just 2 more words, he would be off and running and love the game. But he picked the game up, threw it away, had another rant with play golf, a long rant on play golf. And the problem is that he was following along like he was supposed to, and then it said to go. It said, I think it was the star chart he had to go to, and I don't know what that was. But if it had just said "go to," those 2 words, if it had said "go to star," right, then I think he would have been all set. But when it said, is he this, is he that? No, and it just said star, he didn't know what to do. And I kind of don't blame him, because I was kind of lost too when I first played it. But if he had flipped the chart one page, he would have seen that star, and that's where he would have gone to resolve the hole, and he would have resolved the hole, and he would have been, okay, great. The play games are very different. You have to be in the play mindset, and he's not in the play mindset. I don't think he plays many of the play games. I don't think, and I don't want to speak for him, but I don't think he does. So when you play those, you have to think you keep on going down the line until it's resolved. So when you see a symbol, go looking for that symbol. And he was so close. In fact, when I watched the video again, and he flipped by the star. If he had just had stopped on the star, he would have picked up from there and done it. And I think if the rule book said, is he a duffer? No. Okay. Instead of just star, go to star. And then he would know that he's got one more place to go. But at the time, he's like, am I done? What happens? How do I finish the hole? And he made a lot of sense with that rant on the Play Golf. But getting back to the APBA football rant, he knew what he was getting into, and nothing he said was really wrong. And we brought this up with John on the APBA Talk about, did you ever think about, going just to team cards for the having individual cards for the skill players, let's say, and then a team card or generic for everybody else? Because again, do you need 1,500 cards in a football set if you're really only going to be using quarterbacks and receivers and running backs? Do you need a card for the center and the left tackle? Do you need the nose tackle? Do you need all the hogs, as John Madden used to call them, the hogs? Do you need a card for every one of those? Or would you save money if you just had them on a team sheet or a generic lineman card, or maybe have a ABCD lineman card? So okay, this guy's A, this guy's B, this guy's B, this guy's C, and then that way you can just look up the generic card, almost like a pitcher's batter card. In some of the games they give you a pitcher's batter card, something like that. Have a lineman card, and then just look at whatever one you need, A, B, C, or D. And I think you wouldn't need to print all the cards, and it would be a lot simpler because you wouldn't have 22 cards in front of you on every play. And Strat's the same way. You have tons of cards you have to lay out. But anyway, so his rant, he was not wrong in what he was saying, but he should have known what he was getting into, and but he wasn't wrong, so to speak. But when we brought that up to John, he said the APBA community spoke, and the APBA community, by and large, wanted everybody carded, which makes it more expensive, but you get every card and you feel good about it again. And I told him, I says, I prefer to play football games with team sheets. That's what I told him. And but that's the way it is. But that's a classic example of failing to meet expectation. Although again, I think he really should have kind of known that, going in. I mean, it wasn't any surprise that you really only need, the skilled players in football. I mean, the team sheet is fine. The play, was it a second season from Play? Is that the one, second season? They have the team cards, one sheet, everybody on offense and defense, and they got everybody listed there with a value. And so it's like, check the defensive lineman. So you don't flip two cards, you look at the sheet, because he doesn't need a full card. He just needs a couple of values. That's how you do a football game. Solitaire Pro Football the same way. Team sheet. Really like that. Fast Action Football from Downey. Team sheet. I think even Mean Gene's got the team sheet. That works for football. That way there you don't have all these cards. None of it jack up the cost. It's just confusing. Around the layout says the Rangers choked. Yep, up 2-0 in the series. Looks like it'll cost Gerard Gallant his job. PJet stopping by. Speaking about great expectations, he's one that bought the APBA hockey and did not like it. And he had some really good points on why he did not like APBA hockey. Okay. Myself, those points didn't bother me nearly as much as they bothered him, but he made some really good points. So for him, his expectations for APBA hockey were not met. I still would implore him to go back and give it another try, especially with some of the advancements I've made in the game. Whereas, I use some of the Zarb stuff, some of the Mike Berg stuff, some of my own stuff, some of somebody else's stuff. And I've really filed down the rough edges on APBA hockey. And I've got that game to work very, very well. And Charles says, I think Solitaire Pro Football, while not perfect, does a pretty good job, pretty good system for simulating the defense. Yeah, because what Solitaire Pro Football does is that you roll a die or flip a card, whatever, and you see what the defense is going to be. I think it's like ABCD or ABCDE, something like that. And so and the brilliant thing about that is you don't know what defense it is, which is the brilliant thing about it, because you can never, and I don't know if that was designed on purpose or not, but let's just say you run a pass play on third down and you roll the die to see what defense you're up against. And let's just say it's a B defense. Well, you don't know if B defense was a run defense, a blitz, was it a safe, was it a nickel? You don't know. And I think that's the beauty behind it, because you're going up against a defense and you're going to see if they're right or they're wrong. And why I say the beauty of that is because let's just say that it was labeled. Let's just say A was a blitz and B was run and C was pass and D was nickel. If it's 4th and 1 and you roll the dice and it says nickel defense, you're going to be like, this game is broken. There's no way anybody would run a nickel defense on 4th and 1. So when you just have generic letters, you don't know what that defense was called. You don't know what defense was called. You don't know what play was called. You don't know what formation was called. And I think that's the beauty of it. It kind of disguises it so you can't complain about it. It's just, if it's a bad defense, well, they made the wrong call. Whatever it was the wrong call. Maybe they keyed on the wrong guy. You don't know. It's kind of all kind of baked in the pie. You don't see it. So Solitaire Pro Football, when you select the defensive formation, it's genius because you can't argue with it because it doesn't say what it is. And I love that about that game. PJet is stopping by. And he says, I agree. History maker rules leave a few things out. Well, I think instructions are super, super important. Super important. And those two words, go to, that's all he would have needed. And I bet he would have finished the hole and loved it. Because that's what the play games do, is you're bouncing from chart to chart. Okay, I'm going to read it here. If I don't solve it, then I need to continue. And then I got to go here. Usually it's just one extra chart to solve a play in the golf. And I think the baseball too. I haven't played the baseball yet. I've seen it played. But yeah, the idea that you follow along, and that's kind of how play does it. And he got stuck. And I'm a lot like ID, is that I get very frustrated when I can't figure out the instructions. I do, because I feel though as I'm smart enough to play these games, and like he said, he's played a lot of games. He's played a lot more than me, but I played a lot of games myself, and you figure them out. And when you run into a game that you can't figure out, it pisses you off because you feel like you're not smart enough. But the reality is, it's either A, not written well, or B, it's written in a way that it just doesn't connect with you. In fact, this game I played, I can't reach it over here, but Tiny Epic Defenders. You saw me play that on the channel. Tiny Epic Defenders. It's a little card game on the table. I don't even think you roll dice. I think you just flip cards and you get so many moves. And basically you're putting out the fires and fighting off the enemy and trying to protect the land through 10 rounds of cards, And when it came to the setup in that, I watched the video on YouTube, and this couple set this game up, and I watched their video and just set up my game. And then I read the instructions. There's no way I would have been able to set up the game properly by reading the instruction booklet. It just didn't make sense to me. And when I read it, I was just like, wow, what a mess this is. But when I read it, knowing how to set it up, and I kind of backward engineered it, I say, okay, I can see where they were going with these instructions about this card's in this pile, and this card's in this pile, and this card's in this pile. But the way they laid it out, without that video, I would not be playing that game because I did not understand how it was written. Now that I know how to set it up, when I go back and look at it, it makes all the sense in the world. But when I first read it, I was like, why would you write it like this? Why would you write it in such a way that it's like Yoda? It's like Yoda would understand it. Oh, the directions it is. That it just felt like it was written so backwards, where they could have just spelled it out. These 3 cards here, these 3 cards here, these 3 cards here, and you're done. Instead of these 3 cards here, but then you kind of had to read the graph about where to put the other ones, and they were called different things. It's just like, it was confusing. It really was. Now that I know how to play it, it's not. But at the time, yes, the rules were kind of bad. And Charles says, yep, that's the the play mindset. It is. It's if you play one game, then you should be able to play them all within reason. Okay, they're not all exactly the same, but they have the same kind of idea. So if you're used to it, then you know that there's something else I need to find. If it's a star, if it's a a key, if it's a filled in star, that's where you're going to go. That's the chart you're going to go to when you're playing a play game. So there's no surprises with that. But anyway. So PJ, do I dare read this? Do I dare read the fuddy duddies? No, you're not fuddy duddy. Sure, sounds logical, Dave. Apple football, but look at all the illogical things about Apple hockey that you come up with the fixes for. Well, there was a few. Yep, I definitely had to. Somebody come up, Mike Berg, come up with the penalty system because I still don't know how to do penalties in Apple hockey, and if I got it correct, then you could be rolling all day and never figure out who got the penalty. If I did correctly according to the rules. The same with the assists. I think you could roll all day and not come up with assists if I read it correctly. Why do I want to roll 16, 17 times to get an assist or a penalty? So there are a couple of people that come up with a quick chart for penalties and assists. So if I get a penalty, roll the dice. That's what it is. It's a penalty. Don't have to think any further. I don't have to roll any further. This is what it is. Penalty's a penalty's a penalty. Okay, I do roll to see if it's a major or a minor. I do roll for this. So, I mean, I do like how it does that. The new way of penalties. Same with the assists. It's like roll. I look at the chart. Okay, it's 2 assists. It's going to be the top assist and second top. Done. No rolling to get in range. So penalties and assists were the big thing. The ODAI was a neat workaround by Mike Berg that I prefer to play that. It's a little quicker. But most of the Apple game is fine. And I've slowly backed off and started playing more basic with the Apple hockey too. I get rid of the dump-ins, and I get rid of the rare plays, and I get rid of the matchups. And I find that the game plays fine without it. And sometimes I like having everything because I feel like a full game. And other times it's like, I think I'm just going to play the basic route today. And I have a lot of fun with that. And I'm kind of hoping golf's going to be the same way, that the basic game will be good enough. And if I want to add in other things, that's fine. In fact, we thought about actually my notes right here. I got my little notes right here, and it said changing the way you play, and that's one of the topics we might do on the show. Is that maybe you played a game a long time and you find out that you want to add to it, or maybe you want to cut back from it. I mean, I've done a lot with shootout. I had a ton of homebrew rules for shootout. Now I pretty much play shootout as designed. The same with a couple other games. APA. I had all these extra things I did with APA. And scaled a lot of them back, whether it was my homebrew or whether it was some other things that I the extra advanced stuff. I scaled back, even in the baseball, APA baseball. You can have individual, ratings on a couple of plays. You check the individual. I still just go with the team defense, and that's fine. And maybe it's just because I want to play more and look up less. And so I can really get through a game of APA really quick now without stopping for a lot of the other things that I used to stop for, the advanced stuff. And I'm not missing it. Just say I'm not really missing it. But that's a personal choice, And Turbo goes back to ID's gripe about Apple football was loads of useless cards and extreme cost of a season. Yep, and we talked to John about that. And he said that when he floated that, or they did that for one season, and people were upset. They want a card for everybody. Largely, the Apple community spoke, and they wanted cards for everybody. So that leaves the people out, like myself and ID, that are like, geez, if I can save myself $50 in a season because I'm not paying for lineman cards and I can still play your game, I would rather do that. But if the company thinks that that's not the way to go because most people want it the other way, then that's where they're going to go, and I probably won't play a football game. It's just kind of how it is. PJet says the Rangers look tired. Colorado looked tired. Boston looked tired. Why the heck were they playing dump and chasing the third against the Devils? Yeah, it seems like the younger teams are doing better. Florida's a younger team than Boston, and they seem to hold up better. Just kind of seems what it be. The ODAI simplification is genius and well. Yeah. Yep, it is, Charles. Yeah, the idea that you can it's so fast now because we have that on the helper. It just, what position am I going up against? Because, and even if it's the right, let's say the right wing against the left, the right, whatever, that can happen. Maybe he went around the net, and now instead of facing his normal opponent, he's off on the side here fighting the right D. So that's the matchup that we get. Can he get around the right D? And so you look at the right D. The right D is a 3. You add 1 to the ODAI, you're done. You're not calculating team ODAI anymore. I like that. I like the fact that you can go up against individual players. So if you got a really weak forward and you go up against them, you're going to go right around them, Tebow likes the team defense, and maybe the coach is telling him to play a certain way. There's no wrong way to play it. There's no wrong way to play it. For me, when Mike Berg come up with that individual ODAI, at first I was like, well, man, this is more work, Mike. What are you doing? But he said, give it a try. You'll find out how fast it goes. And oh, yes, once you figure out who you're going up against, you just look at one card and you're done. It is great. It is great. And PJ said, too bad Apple can't offer 2 versions of the Apple cards, one with all the cards and one with alignment on one card. There must be a reason why they don't do that. Maybe they don't think there's enough people that would go that route. I would. If they had, instead of $120 for a season of cards, if they said, okay, so how many linemen on this? You get 5 linemen with a couple of backups. So let's just say you get 10 linemen on each team. And then on the defense, you got another 10. So that's 20. What do you get? 50 cards. So what do you have? The quarterback, 2 quarterbacks, probably 4 receivers, 3 running backs. So 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 4. So maybe 5. So you might have 10 and then a couple of kickers and a couple of defense. Maybe you get 15 to 20 skilled players on each team. Give me 20 skilled players. And then, so that way so now you're shaving off 30 cards per team. So if 30 cards by 30 teams, that's 900 cards you're shaving off a deck. I would think that you should be able to cut that $120 at least in half at that point. So if a season was $60 and I didn't have to lay out all the cards, I'd be more apt to give that game a try and try a solo mode. So I think you're right with that, but that's not the way they went. So that's what it is, And it says, especially how flexible he was bragging in their printing, is I don't see why the 2 sets aren't feasible. Well, there must be a reason why for it. He said he floated it, so he did try. Okay. But he got enough feedback that he decided that's the way that's going to go, And Turbo says what's more, the linemen are generic cards with the exact same numbers, and they're never used. And you're right. But still, by and large, his customer base said they wanted every card and they're willing to pay for it. That's why I enjoy about the hockey. The seasons are, half price of the football, and even the baseball. If you want a modern baseball season with everybody, you're over $150. You'll have everybody, which is great, but that's a you gotta want to play that season. That's why I love the 70s and the 80s. 60, 70, $80 for a season is still high, but it's not over 100. And yeah, that's unbelievable. Joseph says, for coincidental penalties, I use the opposing player's highest minute. If it's a range, a coincidental penalty it is. If not in range, I'm done. It's a power play for one team, not rolling additional 5 times. I have a chart that I come up with. And if it's coincidental, I roll the dice and I look at my chart, and it's an 11 to 66 chart, and it's heavily weighted towards the highest minor, all the way down to the goaltender. I think the goaltender was a 65 and a 66. And I've had that. I've had coincidental, and I roll the dice, and it's a 65. Goaltender gets a penalty. And so I have my own little chart that I use on 11 to 66 to determine if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a goalie. And right or wrong, it's just kind of what I use, and it's faster. And I get my coincidental like that. Even my fighting majors, I get like that, And so I don't have to think about it. So that's what I do with the coincidentals. Charles says, comments on Montreal shutting out New York in your 71-72 playoff replay. Boy, oh really? That's unbelievable. Yeah, because I had New York crushing Boston. I played it in Hockey Bones, and I played it in Apple Hockey, and New York crushed the Bruins badly. In fact, I even played a game of inside the crease. No, yeah, inside the crease on the computer, and the Rangers won in overtime. Bruins tied it up late. It was somebody really weird scoring a late goal to tie it for Boston, but the Rangers did win game 1 in overtime, so the Bruins just can't beat them in that 71-72 replay. It's kind of funny. Sean stopping by. Thanks for coming by. No blood, no penalty. If you watch the NHL lately, if you hit somebody and they don't get up right away, it's a penalty, no matter how clean it is. There's no such thing as a clean hit anymore. It's only, did you hurt the guy or not? Hurt the guy, penalty, clean or not. Didn't hurt the guy, then we play on. That's kind of how it is, you know. And he says, Kenny Dryden was a monster. Yes, Kenny Dryden was a monster. In fact, I think it was one of his strat cards I have. It's like, how's anybody going to score on Dryden? You can't score on Dryden. It's ridiculous, you know. Turbo says, John's blue box analogy about really expensive printed cards. I get it, but it really puts me off. A season with 2023 technology, read PDF and team sheets costing $120, $150 is obscene. Yes. Well, again, I'm trying not to stick up for anybody, but if you think you're gonna really play that season, or if you got a favorite team, that's worth it to you. That $120, $150 is gonna be worth it to you if you think you're gonna play it. You know, let's just face it. If you go to a game, let's say you want to go to a baseball game, it's $200, $300, $400 a night for one night, and you're done. You come home and you get nothing. You got the memories that you went. You know, you spend $120, $150, so you spend half of what it would cost to go to one game, and you have a whole set of cards for the rest of your life, and you can play as many games you want. I try to justify myself by, playing the games, like all my cards behind me. Every now and then I go pull out a set and I play a couple of games, and it's like, okay, whatever I paid for this set, now I can, divide it by, I played 2 games, so now it's only $40 a game instead of $80, because and if I play a few more games now, it's only $10 a game. Pretty much if you play enough games, it'll be 10 15 cents per game. So if you play enough, you can actually whittle that cost down, and that's how I justify it. If I buy something and I use it a lot, I mean, I think back to like a game like Skyrim, okay, on the Xbox 360 and even the PS4, $60 game. I put 300 hours plus into Skyrim. Do the math. 300, $60 divided by 300. What was I paying? Pennies an hour to play that game when I was done? I robbed them on that game. I got so much out of that game, it wasn't even funny, And there's been a few other games too that I played so much that whatever I paid for it, it was just like pennies per game. So, but if you don't use it, then it sits there. Yeah, it's a waste. I was going to get 1995, but it didn't have everybody because I wanted to play the Red Sox. And again, it was one of those $120 for the season and another $30 for the extras. I'm like, I don't need to play 1995 that bad. That's just me. Getting back into the chat room here. Worse is the dumb fighting after clean. Oh, I hate that too. Someone gets a good clean hit and then someone's starting to fight with them. It's like, why hit anymore? Because someone's just going to beat you up if you hit their buddy. It's like, come on, that was a good hit, And yeah, someone had to collect all the data to put it together. You're right. That comes into the cost of these things. It really does. Oh, I finally found orange Gatorade Zero. They didn't have this, at least in my store, for years. They had all the colors but orange, and orange is my favorite. So they finally started getting it. So I get like 4 12 packs, because I stock up because I love it so much. I do. I like my orange Gatorade Zero. Charles says that $120, $150 season cards is actually priced pretty well. Seriously, look into how much it would cost to have that many cards made. Hockey Bones is similarly priced. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're getting what they say, 900 cards now, and then if you want the extras, it's whatever. So, yeah, I guess if you did the math, 900 into 120. I don't know what's that? 20 cents a card, less than 20 cents a card. I mean, the per card price, is what it is. Let's see here. And PJet, Turbo says, PJet agreed, I prefer team sheets. Yep. And PJet says, the problem with 30 plus teams in any sport that it translate into an expensive card set where I might only use some of the teams. Yeah. Yeah. I like having every team because you know me, I play all the bad teams, and I'll sit here by myself sometimes. It's like, something, I'll see a clip on YouTube. It's like, I want to play Vancouver, Pittsburgh in 76. There's probably no one in the country or in the world that has played a game of Vancouver, Pittsburgh 1976 hockey, but here I am going to play that game. So I like to have every team. And that goes into my my anxiety issues about knowing that if I have a season, I'm not anxious. And I know you can't have everything. I get it, but I do. I have anxiety with that. Steve Tower coming up here. And Steve Towers, you're on later tonight, right? About a half hour. Steve's got some, I think it's tonight, Steve, right? You got your season ticket baseball going on. Let me know if that's true, because I know I wanted to get on early because I knew you were going to play that and I wanted to watch that. But I think Steve Towers got some season ticket baseball on his channel tonight, so head over there. I think it's 9 o'clock, I believe, so in about 35 minutes from now. Let me know if that's true, Steve. Let's hear some Skyrim hoarding stories. So many hours. Steve, I played that Skyrim game on the 360. It's the only game on the Xbox 360 that I got 200 points, the perfect score. And I had to kind of cheat to do it too. The only one I couldn't get was Escape from the Jail. And I kept getting caught. So finally I escaped from the jail. As soon as I did it, the achievement popped up. It was the last achievement I needed, and I saved the game and then quit. And then went back into a previous save before I got arrested and had all my stuff back. Because I couldn't get I had a ton of good stuff and I couldn't get it back. So I got the achievement and then went back into a previous save so I didn't lose everything. So it was kind of a stinky way to do it, but I got my perfect score on that. And then I played that on the PS4 for another 100 hours or so. And then I think I got it. My wife had an Xbox upstairs, the Xbox One, so I got it for that. So I played it a little bit on that. I could just pick up and play that. That's just such a great game. I looked into the board game. They have a Skyrim board game, and they say it's fantastic. But I saw a couple reviews that didn't give it a fantastic review. And the board is big. I mean, I'd have to play it over in Studio A, and I even think it would be too big for that table in Studio A, because I only have like a little fold-out table like they have in wrestling. It's even smaller than that. I don't even think my table would be big enough for the Skyrim board game. APBA should offer playoff sets. Yeah, that's one thing I don't know if we brought that up to them or not. But yeah, to offer, they do offer World Series sets. They do. That they do. And I'm not sure if they have the Stanley Cup sets or not. But yeah. But again, are you really going to make any money? Because people just want to play the best team. So if you want to sell a whole season and people only want to play the top teams, you're not going to make a lot of money on those sets. You'd rather sell the full season, I would think. Once you start going, you go into a restaurant, you just want to pick what you want, but you don't want to pay the buffet price. You want to pay the lunch meal price and just pick what you want. It kind of doesn't work that way. I don't think. Let's see here. Retro Replays drops by. How's it going, everyone? I finally made one of these live. Yeah, just kind of chatting tonight. And I need to get off here soon because we have some people coming on. Steve Towers going to play some baseball later. I want to watch that. I'll have that on the iPad while I watch maybe the hockey game or something like that. Or maybe I'll watch more of my APBA Golf videos. And that's what this is all about. It's me, my great expectations for APBA Golf. I want to get some thoughts down here before the game come in, before I even open the box and read the directions. I want to see. So this is my excitement about it. I have high expectations for this game. I don't want to be let down. I'm hoping that I can figure out at least the basic game. I'm hoping it's fun. It looks like it could be in a geeky way, but it might not be. I might play and absolutely hate it. I won't know until I try it, but I'm going to try it. And we got Turbo says, Charles, I think they do have college playoff sets. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Powerade Zero windshield washer fluid. Yeah. Oh yeah. The bright blue one. Yeah. I love the bright blue one. The orange is still my favorite. I'm actually, I've been talking all day. That's why I'm dehydrated. Me and Ron did an interview, and we had to do the wraparound for the interview for the show. And then we did a Patreon event today. So if you're one of our $5 Patreons, I think I sent out to everybody. So if you're one of our Patreons at all, we did a Patreon video today. So we recorded that. And I did 2 script readings. I did my normal movie script readings. And now, I think I've mentioned this, the people I'm working for have started another channel, or they're in the process of starting another channel, and it's food recipes. So today I talked about making the most delicious American pizza. And then we talked about how to make a great hot dog. Yep. So I'll let you know where you can find that once they start getting posted. So I've been talking all day. I did a movie read, and I did a food recipe video, and then I did a Patreon, and then we did part of a show today. So my voice is a little tired today. Let's see. Charles says he likes Gatorade Grape Zero. Yeah, I like the grape too. I do. Andrew says, my first paycheck I ever received as a teenager went towards Stratomatic baseball cards. I wish I knew about that. I never knew about these games as a kid. I saw the ads, didn't know what they meant. I remember seeing the Stratomatic ads. I'm like, I thought Stratomatic was some, I have no idea what it was, but it was not anything like it is. Whatever I thought Stratomatic was not what the game is. I wouldn't have any clue that that's what it was. I thought it was just kind of some kind of a sheet thing. I didn't even know what I thought it was. But the name Strat-O-Matic, I didn't think it was a cards and dice baseball or hockey game. I had no idea what it was. There was some other games that we had back in the day that were just kind of stupid, and I just thought it was something like that. I had no idea it was like this. Steve Tower, yes, 9 o'clock, Game 7, 1990 World Series with season ticket baseball. So go check out at 9 o'clock. So I'll be signing off shortly, so everybody can go get ready for that. So we can check out his Game 7. It's already in Game 7. Very good. And getting back to Andrew, my first paycheck was probably back in like 83, so 82, 83. I think all my paychecks went to albums. I remember buying albums. I bought the Cars' first album. I think that was the first album I ever purchased. And then earlier I talked about Great Expectations. That's a song off the Kiss Destroyer album from 76. That's another album I bought, was Kiss Destroyer. I wish I still had that one. But I played those records so much. I didn't have any records back. I had to buy my own, except at Christmas time. What do you want for Christmas? Records. I got all the Van Halen, Rush, you name it, the Kinks. I got so many records. That was so easy to buy at Christmas. Just just go to the record store and shop for Dave, and you're done. But yeah, my first paychecks all went to records, and then I started going to guitars and things like that. Sean comes back in and says, I think for football, a blend of cards and offensive lineman and defensive lineman cards could work. Maybe even at the special teams on a card. Yeah, it definitely can work. It definitely can work. But the APA community likes their cards. They want a card for everybody. They want to touch it, feel it, smell it, and so that's the way it's going to be. Not too much you can do about that. Yes, it's Chef Dave. Yeah, Chef Boyard Dave. Yep. Yeah, Chef Boyard Dave. Yeah. They had the one line. It's like in the pizza, and it said, so the line said, and now pepperoni. And then it said Italian accent optional. So I don't know if that meant for me it was optional or what. So how I read it was, and now it's time for the pepperoni. Italian accent optional. So we'll see how they put it all together. But yeah, I did. I hammed it up. Every now and then I throw in a thing like that. They've done a couple of really good movies. They've done some recent movies that I've done, and I've actually watched them on the YouTube, and they were pretty good. So the last couple of movies they've done have been fantastic. So I said, don't give up on the movie channel. I like doing the movie ones. But now if I can do 2 reads a day, holy cow, there's going to be a lot of talk. Turbo getting back here, $125, $120, $150 for a season. If the cards are actually used in the game is one thing, but in Apple Football, maybe 10 cards are ever used at most. So I'm paying $120, $150 for maybe 320 useful cards. And that's the thing. And that's what I don't get is, and I talked to Ron about this too, is that Appa seems to cater to people who've already bought the game and not thinking about going forward. That just kind of my impression is that they have an older fan base, and if you want to move into the future, they get mad. And you don't want to make these guys mad, but if they've already bought all these seasons, if they've already, they're not going to buy the football again. They have the football. So why not make a new football set for new people? I would absolutely buy some seasons if they were $40, $50, $60 and less cards than like you said, to have, 800 cards you'll never use. that you have to pay for. It's kind of like something the government does. You got to pay for something you're never going to use. And I'm not knocking APBA. I'm just saying this is what we're talking about here. I think there would be a market for the APBA football game if they did that, is they gave you team sheets or generic labels for people instead of carding everyone. But that's what they want to do, and that's how they're going to do it. And so I don't know how the sales are with that, but and I don't know how the sales would be if they went the other way. They might spend all this time converting over and not sell anything. That's the other thing too. They might have already looked at that and said, we tried it. I think that's what he said. I think they tried it and it didn't go over well. Now, whether that means it didn't sell or they just got a lot of noise from the older APBA crowd, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But that's one thing we didn't really agree on when we talked. And then that's fine. We don't have to agree on it. Whatever. But I just said I'd be more apt to buy it, and a lot of people would if he did it this way. He said, well, we tried it that way and didn't go over well. So at least he did try it. At least that's what he said. And Charles says he's getting back to his 71-72 tonight. Game 3, Chicago at Pittsburgh. That's a fun season, except when the Rangers beat up in the Bruins, And Andrew says his first paycheck was 78-77 seasons and albums too. Columbia House. Yeah. You still remember? Just tape the penny here. Remember that? Turbo says he's playing 87-88. Wings at Bruins. Strat, cards, and dice. Very nice. Rothman says, as my anxiety got worse, I've gone to more quick play games. I can see that. Now playing 2023 Ultra Quick College Basketball. Great value, every team, all divisions. Yeah, some of those are fantastic values. Those quick play games can be really fun. They really can. Charles says he's the opposite. The long plays help calm him down. I can see that. But sometimes, you got a big, long game, and you're like, oh, my gosh. It's just, how am I going to play this whole thing tonight, Whereas I'll pull out Shootout or something like that. And you know what I pulled out? I think I already showed you guys this, the Momentum Football. The least accurate football game I've ever played in my life, but it's the most funnest game I think I've ever played. As far as a full player. No, it's not a full play game. It is kind of drive-by-drive-ish. But I just like it. I just like the Momentum Football, but the accuracy has a little bit to be desired. Let's just say it that way. But it's a super fun game. But I pull out that, and I can play a game of that in 15, 20 minutes, and that's a nice game. Shootout hockey, Momentum Football, game-winning drive, even Al Wilson's game, the fast drive football. You play that 15, 20 minutes, and you're kind of done, and you get the full game in there. So sometimes I like the quick play games, but sometimes the quick play games can take a while to set up too, especially the downy stuff. When okay, what's the offense? What's the defense? What's the home rating? What's the extra rating? And now you have your rating, now you roll. It's almost like it takes more time to set up the game than it does to roll the dice and play the game sometimes. But I can see how both way. I can see how both would be relaxing. And Charles said, there's something to focus on that isn't something that has caused me anxiety. Yep. I guess I would say that about APBA hockey. Sometimes I just say, the heck with, I roll down the mat, I go over there, pick a couple teams, and I play a game just by myself, and just relish the moment, and I have fun with it, and it's a good time. All right, a couple more here before I wrap up. David C. says, getting cold snap out and playing some CFL football tonight. Still early enough to get a full game in. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I wonder how long it would take to play that. I still have only played, I think I've only played one full game a second season. I loved it, but I haven't get back to it. And it's like the Solitaire Pro Football too. I love that game. It's just a long game, and I got to sit down, and then I'll have to sit down and kind of relearn how to play it too, because I haven't played it in so long. But I have so many fun games like that I know are going to be long, and then I'm going to have to go refresh myself on how to play it. Whereas a game like Momentum Football here, I just kind of skimmed through the directions. I was like, oh yeah, that's how you play it, and I was up and running in a few minutes. And Bears Den says, I got fast action football watching my videos on it. Lots of seasons. Yep. I like the fast action football. The only issue I had with fast action football, and I love the team charts, and I loved how everything was laid out and just flip, and you got, okay, hands off to this guy against the defense, 10 yards, done. It was so good. But with the fast action football is, if that's the one you're talking about, the Downey game, is so many flips of the card to determine what's going on, because there's no dice. It's all fast action cards. And I think on a punt, it was 7 flips just for a punt, because it's like, is there a penalty? Is there a fumble? Is the kick away? Is the kick blocked? Is the kick returnable? Does the guy, fair catch the ball? Is there a fumble on the kick return? Is there a penalty on the kick return? What is the result of the kick return? that was the issue with fast action football, was all the flipping of the cards. Aside from that, sometimes the offensive plays weren't bad. Okay, it's going to be a run. It's going to be to Walter Payton. Walter Payton controls rather than the defense controlling, and it's going to be a 7-yard run, and you're done, and there's no penalty. But I would always forget to check for penalties and fumbles and this and that. But fast action football was a really, really fun game. It just had a lot of steps. That's what it was. Let me see here. Turbo says, Glory Days college football is a great hybrid game. You can play drive-by-drive or play-by-play. Yes, Ron has been talking about Glory Days football, and he says once they get a pro game, so I'm not big into the colleges, once they get a pro game, he says he thinks I'm going to be all over it. So Charles says, I just passed 100 played of fast drive football in his 84-85 season replay using the SPF for all the Bear games. Okay. Yeah, it's fun to mix and match like that. It is. David, see, I love tracking stats, so it runs me 2 to 2.5 hours, but you can certainly play it faster. Yeah. And we talked about that on stats. The more stats you keep, the longer the game's going to be. So, yes, that's one thing we talked about there. And get me wrong, so I tried that with the APA hockey. I kept all kinds of stats, and the game took longer. And when I was done, it was neat. It was neat. But then I realized that, if I just kind of keep basic stats, just shots and in-range shots, plus my goals, assists, and penalties, that the game went smoother. It was faster. I felt as though I wasn't stopping every time the puck changed hands or every whistle to record something. And then it just took me out. It took me out of the game when I had to keep stopping for all the stats. That was just me. And when I played the game flowed and I got done. I was like, oh, wow, what a game that was. Whereas when I kept all the stats, it just kept stopping. And I didn't like that. I wanted to kind of just play through the game. Just me. That's where I am right now. Someday I might be like, yeah, I'm going to stop and keep all the stats. He says, I found a way to use dice instead of the cards. Oh, that would probably speed things up. Yep. Scott Long comes by. Scott, I get the baseball back here soon on the channel so you can keep track of my balls and strikes, or my strikes, I should say, my strikeouts. I haven't played that 79 season in quite some time. I need to get back to that. But he just picked up Glory Days college football and liking it. Yeah, I hear it's really good. All right, Sean, heads up. Thank you for coming by. Have a great night. Yeah, we're going to be signing off. Steve Towers coming on in about 20 minutes, so I want to go catch that myself. The Canes are 3-up over the Devil. I kind of hope both teams lose that series. I don't like either team, but I guess I'd rather see the Canes win. Just me. I've never liked the Devils. When they left Colorado, I was like, yeah, I don't like them anymore, And Turbo said it's a great game. Hope they develop NFL seasons for it. I think they will. I hope they do, and I hope I get a chance to play it. But anyway, thanks for coming by tonight, folks. I didn't mean to go on this long. I just want to come on and chat for a few minutes, and here we are having a nice full chat room here tonight. As great expectations. I'm awaiting the arrival of APA Golf, and I'm dying to know when I unbox it how I'm going to feel. When I read the directions, how I'm going to feel. And when I start to play it, how I'm going to feel. Can I figure it out? Is it going to be too complicated? Is it going to be too cumbersome? Is it even going to be fun? I don't know, but I have some great expectations for APA Golf. And I should have it in by the end of the week. Maybe this weekend I'll get a chance to look it over. And then maybe even on Sunday, if all goes well, maybe on Sunday I'll definitely do an unboxing video when I get it. Take a look at what you get in the box and what extra I ordered. And then once I figure out how to play it and start getting it on the table to play, and Ron's going to play. Ron says that he's going to want to play against me here once I get it going. So that'll be a fun time as well. But anyway, hey, I'm Dave from Studio B, and let me know your expectations of games. If you ordered a game, whether it's a PC or a Cards and Dice or PDF or just, whatever it is, and you had expectations for this game, what games met your expectations or exceeded them, and what games didn't meet expectations and kind of bummed you out. So anyway, I'm jumping out here. Steve Towers on at 9. Check him out, folks. And we'll talk to everybody later. And again, a new Digital to Dice drop today. We had author Steve Walker on talking about the 1969 Washington Senators. That was a fun podcast, and I can't wait to read the book myself. And I'll probably have to buy 69 the season somewhere, whether it's Strat or App or season ticket or something, some game. I think I have it in Back to Basics, right, in Pocket Pennant, so I can, at least I can play it now. And so yeah, so new show dropped today, and we had something else. Oh, the Patreon event. So if you're a Patreon member, we had a little discussion about year 5 of the show was in our Patreon today. So if you're a Patreon member, check out the link that we posted in Patreon and also in the Discord if you're in Discord. But anyway, I'm Dave. Yes, thanks for coming by, everybody. This is a great chat. We'll talk to everybody later. Have a good night, and hopefully your expectations are met. Bye-bye.